Hi. Happy Saturday night, everybody. Just getting started here. Come on in. Hi. Come on in, everybody. Oh, Lord. We know these headphones aren't a perfect accessory. No. I still have to bling them. We've got to do something. We've got to do something about this ensemble. Oh, thank you for the coffee. Thank you so much for the coffee, darling. Hi, come on in, everybody. Oh, man, you know what to do. You got to get it going. Thank you for the coffee again, Butterfly Angel. Thank you for that. Thank you for being in here. Thank you. Hi. Lady in Red. Welcome. How's everybody's weekend so far? When you come in, let me know where you're coming from. What are you thinking about? Are you working, thinking about working, listening from work? Quit work? Won the lottery? Whatever's happening? What's up, Lethal? Just let me know. Oh, oh my goodness. Wisconsin, New York. No, there's no guest request. That was an everybody ignored. If you got a guest request, just ignore it. It was a new feature, and I think people are taking it different than what it actually is. So, excuse me, I can't talk tonight. Tonight, our special guest is the one and only Dr. Nadine Macaluso. Hey, East Tennessee. East Tennessee here too. And my husband is watching the game upstairs. He says we have a shot. We got a shot at it, he says. It's halftime right now. Upstate New York. Hey, I'm good. How are you? Thank you for asking. Oh my goodness. I'm loving all of the love. Turned it on just before the half, Jim says. Jim Smith is in the room, everyone. Bonus dad to Gabby Petito. What's up, Chelsea? You make me wanna Ross. Oh my goodness. So we are just waiting on Dr. Nay to enter the room. Who in here, by show of hands, remembers Dr. Nadine Macaluso from last show? I mean, not the last show, but the last show she was on with me. Oh, me too, Grammy. Go Vols. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, for those of you who are not familiar, Dr. Nadine Macaluso is the former Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort's wife. You guys have seen that movie, right? Former Wolf of Wall Street, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Thank you for that coffee. Oh my goodness, excuse me, I got a little Cody code going on. What's up, Kristen? So, she's our guest again tonight, but tonight she is going to exclusively talk to us about the Mica Miller case. Oh, yes. We are diving into this story that has captured all of our attention since last May. The tragic death of Mica Miller has really taken the country by storm, by shock. We've come together as a community because of it, more so than ever before. The questions surrounding the relationship between John Paul Miller and Mica grow, I would say, by the day, in my opinion. So joining us tonight is renowned author Dr. Nadine Macaluso, former wife of Wall Street, to discuss Mica's case and her book, Run Like Hell, A Therapist's Guide. All right. Already half of the goal completed. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome, you guys. Thank you for all your support. And I just wanted to find, because I don't have her book yet in my hand. I have the ebook. So let me just pull up the ebook and so that I can show you the front page. And so you know what to look for in case you want to, or you know somebody who needs this book. And it's not just about getting a book for somebody. This really can be a life-saving book, a life-changing book. Somebody somewhere is suffering from domestic violence tonight and they are not telling you about it, or they're not saying much. But maybe you have a hint. Maybe you sort of know, but you don't want to say anything. So Dr. Nadine Macaluso has wrote this book. I'm going to turn off the mirroring for you so you can see it, if it'll let me. And I also want to pull this up from my TikTok shop because I want you to be able to put this book in your cart and check out and try to save your own life or somebody that you know's life. And it's not responding, of course. Of course it would do that. You gotta love TikToker shopper. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to pin that for you because this is what I'm talking about. This book is called Run Like Hell, A Therapist's Guide to Recognizing, Escaping, and Healing from Trauma Bonds. It's by Dr. Nadine Macaluso, and she's going to speak with us tonight about Mica Miller's case. 2 viewers are viewing the products right now. Thank you so, so much. Dr. Nay is in the room. We'll let her get connected and started, and I will change the layout.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Let's just get this going. Wait. No. Okay, why isn't my camera going on?
It's that little icon at the top. When you click your box, it'll have a line through it, and you just click it to turn it on.
Wait, I did it last time. Okay,
Yeah,
wait.
I'll show you again. Let me log into my other account here.
Wait.
Y'all got to be patient with us, okay? We are 70s babies and we don't get the social media sometimes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I see it says Dr. Day Productions. Okay, wait. And do I click on my face? No.
Hold on and I'll show you.
You'll connect. No, I don't want to connect.
So,
Yeah.
let me accept myself up to, oh, not that one. Hold on just a second. I'm going to accept myself up to the panel as another guest so I can show you how to turn that on.
Okay.
So you'll click your little box there.
Yeah. I don't.
And then at the very top, let me accept myself so I can show you.
Okay.
Um, when you click this box right here,
Yeah.
there's a camera right here on the right.
Got it.
See it? Yeah, and you just click that.
I see it. There we go. Okay, did it.
Did you hit save at the bottom?
Save. Now
There
wait.
we go.
Oh,
Yay.
did it. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good. It is so good to see you again. I am delighted and just excited to have you here.
Oh, I know. Me too. I'm so happy to be here. We had such a lovely talk last time, and I just think we have so much beautiful information, important information to share with people.
That's right. Everybody really loved the last time you were here, and we've had several purchase your book, and a few have sent me videos of the gorgeous unwrapping and the lovely note that you put on each inside cover to it makes them each feel heard and feel special. And so I wanted to thank you for adding that special touch.
Oh, I love to do that. That makes me happy.
So you are familiar with the Mica Miller case.
Yes. Yes.
We have been here on this platform advocating for her and speaking up for her since May. And it's been a long, long time of us going back and looking at their relationship over the years,
Yeah.
at how volatile it was and
Oh,
up and down and just really toxic.
yeah.
And we had spoke last time about you had wished that your book was one of the books that she had gotten because I feel like it's a literal guide to
Yeah.
help folks learn, whether it's men or women, learn what trauma bonding is and the dynamics in a relationship and how to identify those and to make changes, positive changes in their life, and maybe save their own life or someone that they know.
That's right.
It's a lot to get into.
I know. I know.
There's so many different layers, but we'll take it one thing at a time. If we could talk about the portion of your book that talks about love bombing and the initial intensity, because what we see with Micah and John Paul Miller, especially if you look at their wedding ceremony that they had outside, and he kind of pulls her to him like forcefully and not really lovingly. Um, but then he gives her gifts. He bought her a car. He gave her a job at his church, so he was also her boss.
Right.
And so, if we really look at that relationship that began in 2015, we can see the beginning of love bombing, in my opinion, and the early stages of trauma bonding, where the abuser really shows the victim that they love them in the form of that sort of affection.
Yeah.
Giving how fast they moved to be married. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but she wanted to get a breast job and he wanted to be pastorish about it. So he kind of hurried along an outside ceremony that happened in the yard of the church unexpectedly in their normal everyday clothes.
Got it. Got it.
Giving how much that rushed in the initial intensity. Do you feel that that's an accurate description, and how can you compare it to like a more traditional love courtship?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a few things I want to say about that. So it seems to me that even if we go before the love bombing, he was grooming her.
Yes.
Right, because she's 14 when she joins the congregation. And then didn't he actually marry her to somebody else, his friend?
He did. His best friend.
His best friend. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and then she works for him and then becomes his wife. So that's a real, I think 14, she marries him at 18.
Uh, let's see. She was 30, and this was they got married in 2017, so that's 7. So she was like early 20s, 22. Yeah.
So he groomed her for he married her to a friend at 18, right? So
Right.
he
Yes.
groomed her for a very long time.
A long time.
A long time. And then, of course, the love bombing does come, like you say, with the gifts and the paying for this and getting her the car and making her feel special. And then it is very typical in a love bombing situation where it's very intense, it's very quick, and it just happens suddenly like that, right?
Yes.
So it is very typical of love bombing, but mixed with this very strange grooming. I mean, grooming is involved in love bombing because love bombing is a manipulation tactic, right? Even though it feels like it could be genuine love, but it's not genuine love because, first of all, his whole beginning with her is strange, but you get to know somebody, you take your time. I remember my daughter once saying to me, Mom, because she's married now and with her husband, it's just drama free and normal. You sure it's love?
Oh.
And I said, yeah, that means it is real, genuine love because it's not this intense, fast paced adoration and admiration that knocks you off your feet.
That's right. The grooming, Mica Miller's mother was on my show.
Oh,
Yes, the day of the FBI raid.
oh,
And she just kind of let it all out. And she talked about the grooming.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's a show I might send you the link to. That's on YouTube. You'll have to take a look at that. I mean, she really just lets it all out. She'd been holding it up all that time. Let's talk about in your book, you highlight the clinical pattern of abuse seen in trauma bonds characterized by periods of loving that describes them so much because they would be kind to one another and then they would be their worst enemy.
Yeah.
um, do you feel that John Paul's documented mental health, his struggles and reported abuse of medications for conditions like his depression and anxiety influenced the cycle of abuse and intensity where maybe she was suffering mentally and then he was and then it was kind of a back and forth battle?
Yeah, well, first of all, he was taking lithium.
Yes.
So that indicates to me that he has bipolar. So I don't know if it's bipolar 1 or 2, so I don't know the intensity of it. But
Mhm.
often people that do have bipolar have extreme anger and rage. So it's a very common symptom. And you know, what happens with pathological people like this that are real perpetrators and abusive, and not with all mental health challenges. So I want to be very clear with that, right? So we don't want to stigmatize any mental health challenges or issues. However, specifically men that are very pathological, when they feel depressed or sad inside, they can't really verbalize it. They can't really ask for help. And so what happens is they feel irritable and they feel terrible. They don't know it's coming from inside. They blame their partner and they get super angry at their partner also for not being able to soothe them. But the partner doesn't know that they're feeling bad. And so they're very angry and irritable and cruel towards them. And that leaves the partner totally, totally confused. And she can't soothe him because she doesn't know what's happening. And then, of course, that repeated behavior of anger and rage and control, what does that do? That creates mental health challenges in her.
That's right. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so it's
Hmm.
so complex.
Yes. Do you think his sermons and his public statements, particularly those emphasizing obedience to his religious authority and sinful of challenging church leadership, contributed to his power imbalance, the power imbalance in their relationship, and make it more difficult for her to seek help?
Oh, I mean, I can't even imagine how hard, when you're in a trauma bond, that power imbalance is a real condition of it. And usually one person has the power, but he's like having institutional power. I mean, so think of what that power must have felt like to her. And it's a classic case of religious authority being weaponized to reinforce his abuse and control. I mean, it's real spiritual abuse.
Yes.
And, also he's a church leader. So when she challenges him or doesn't submit to him, it's not even like she's just defying him. It's like she's defying God or religion in general. So I can't even imagine what that felt like. It's hard enough to go up against that power imbalance, but then to go up against it with someone who has all that religious authority, that must have felt so challenging for her. And then if she goes, where does she go in the community or the congregation for support to talk about him when he's this religious authority, this all-knowing, all perfect pastor?
That's right. Sometimes it's hard in normal situations because they won't feel believed, much less in a church. It's not a mega church, but it's not a small church either. And so it's for her. She must have felt trapped so many times.
I mean, I can't even imagine what that power imbalance felt like to her.
Do you recall any specific incidences in this case where you feel that her access to support and resources was absolutely manipulated by John Paul?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, these people do not want you to have resources, right?
No, that's right.
I mean, and especially financial resources, because that just makes her more financially, totally dependent upon him. And they want to isolate you because they don't want you to talk to anybody because somebody might say, hey, that sounds a little crazy what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound healthy.
Hmm.
So definitely blocking access to resources and community and things that are healthy for her.
That's right. Your book discusses the ways abusers can exploit their victims' mental health vulnerabilities using gaslighting and other tactics to undermine their sense of reality and self worth. How might John Paul's alleged actions, such as falsely claiming that she had drained their bank account, making public statements about her mental state, especially in church, impact her perception of reality and her ability to seek help?
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, first of all, when you know a lot about a trauma bond, I know that everything that he was accusing her of was actually an admittance of what he was doing.
Mm,
Right. So, but if you don't know that when you're on the other side of it, you feel totally confused, if you're not doing the things that they're accusing you of. But I know that that's it. And also, I mean, he really, really weaponized her mental health challenges. He just weaponized them because he makes himself to seem like this all loving, all caring pastor, and she's this mentally ill woman. So now who's going to believe her claims?
that's right.
Who's going to believe what she says, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, what do I believe? Because he's constantly undermining her confidence and self-worth.
we can see that in the several times that she filed for divorce shortly thereafter dismissing it. And so it seems like during the manipulation, he is really convincing her of what she should believe, or that she's somehow sinning, not supporting her religious leader as the husband. And I believe he sent her an email one time saying, "I need to find a new first wife of the church and an employee to get her back."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, he was always manipulating her, gaslighting her, using coercive control, all these different tactics to have power and control over her. And and exploiting and weaponizing someone's mental health challenges and preying on their vulnerabilities is really dark.
mhm.
Especially since I think he's the one that caused them.
Yeah,
He gave them
right,
birth, and
right.
now
That's right.
he's weaponizing them.
Yes, that's right. He's trying, in my opinion, everything to turn the attention off of what he's doing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
deflection. Yes, 100%.
yeah. Your book, Run Like Hell, provides strategies for escaping a trauma bond relationship, considering the timeline and showing Micah's proactive steps to document abuse and seek legal help. She tried to distance herself from John Paul. Are there any other strategies or resources she could have done differently? Or do you think that she was doing all that she could do?
She was really doing so much. So I would never want to discredit what she was doing and what she was up against. My only tip, and this is what I say in the book, she should have never let him know she wanted to leave. Right? That's the thing, is that you can't, when someone wants power and control over you, you can't be like, hey, I'm leaving, right? And I think, because I think she underestimated his level of pathology. I don't think she truly got it. And so I would always say, do everything she did, document, go to the police, get the attorney, yet do it behind his back. So then you have it all prepared, you have a plan, and then do it.
That's a really good advice. In fact, I remember that my mom done it exactly like that. Dad wasn't there, and we packed as much as we could up in the car, and we left. He didn't even see it coming.
That's the only way. That's the only way, because with them, there was just too much back and forth, and you see him totally trying to thwart all her efforts to leave, escape. Actually, is a better word.
Yeah, things that he had done that a lot, and I think that she had just finally seen the light there in 1985, I believe, and so that was they did, like I said, we talked about this before. She didn't have the resources now, and I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, I guarantee there wasn't a book about domestic violence down in our library, uh,
No.
especially in 1985. And so, what a powerful tool that you have given women and men.
Yeah, a survival guide. Yep.
Now, between 2017 and 2021, it's up and down, back and forth, and there are lots of incidences. But finally, October the 22nd, 2023 comes around. Well, I will say this: in October, she filed for divorce, and then at the end of October, on that day, he uploads this sermon to YouTube, and he reveals that he's seeing a psychiatrist for deep depression. He's taken lithium. He's had those thoughts. Do you think it was a preparation for a narrative he was trying to set ahead of time for the sympathy of the anticipation of the divorce?
Yeah. Well, because again, he's really a master at image. He's so strategic at it, and I think he did it also, of course, to elicit empathy. And then I was also thinking, I was wondering, he would want it to get back to her, because a lot of times perpetrators and abusers will claim they're going to commit suicide as a means to control and not have somebody leave.
Yes. Uh-huh. Okay, yes, of course. I didn't think about it that way. He
Yeah.
was also trying probably to control her most of all.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
That would get back to her because that's a very common thing that they do.
Mhm. If you're just joining us, we are talking to Dr. Nadine Macaluso, and she has written this lovely book called Run Like Hell, A Therapist's Guide to Recognizing, Escaping, and Healing from Trauma Bonds. She is the former Wolf of Wall Street who left her, a domestic violence situation herself, went on to become a doctor, and has put in all of her heart and soul into this book. I have it pinned. You can add it to your cart if you need it, or if someone you know needs it. um, Please grab it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. um, it's very well written and it's easy to understand. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit now. We're going to move into the events where it all came crashing down. February the 4th, 2024, John Paul preaches about Kariah Moses, emphasizing the sin of rising against religious leaders. And we just talked about that. Do you think that he used that against her as sin to come up against him, and also used that with his friends, family, business associates? I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I sat down with a former church member back in June. I went to Myrtle Beach, flew into Myrtle Beach, covered this case.
Okay.
She told me that he was exactly who everybody thought he was, and that he had, in Micah's chance to escape, she went to a different church, obviously.
Okay.
He found out what this church was, and he called them, and they had the mindset to record the call.
Okay.
The FBI has a copy of that phone call. I can say that now that there's a raid. In the letter, he wrote them a letter and he made a phone call. And he tried to convince them that she was mentally ill, that she wouldn't bring good things to their church. He told them all the things that she supposedly done to him. And this was to the pastor of the new church.
Mm.
Isn't that an insane amount of control that he's trying to get there?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's real calculated spiritual manipulation. I mean, he's just, I could just feel it in her brain that when I could see how she would get these two things mixed up. Like anytime she rebels against him or wants to leave him, it's like she's rebelling against God.
Yeah.
I could just see how that could be so confusing in her brain. And because he's using scripture, right, as a weapon of control,
Yes.
using religious guilt. And didn't she have videos? I think I saw some where she's like saying out loud, God wouldn't want you to stay in an abusive marriage, or
Yeah.
so you can see her really trying to reconcile this in her brain and how hard that must have been for her.
Yeah. That was a powerful message that still gives me chills when I watch that video of her, because she says, "Does God like abuse?"
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what she's doing right there. She's trying to reconcile. I need to leave him, but am I going against God when I leave him? And I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. Yeah.
In March 2024, she made a call, a 911 call, and she told dispatcher she found a tracking device on her car just one day before she was supposed to appear in court for a petition for temporary relief from John Paul. Now, she did put in a FOIA request and she did check the surveillance camera. She didn't see that he had messed with the car at the courthouse, but she believes it was done before. And that wasn't the first time. Many, many times that she claimed that there was a tracking device. One time she asked the police to try to pull the fingerprints from it, and they pretty much did not and said, we'll follow up, and never did. Do you think that this was an attempt to scare her out of showing up for court, but also as another way of controlling her by tracking her moves?
Oh, yes, because he has such a clear pattern of sabotaging her escape, right? And a tracking monitor is like, I will monitor you. You will have increased surveillance. I will control you. I will know every single thing you're doing. There is no way you can escape me having eyes on you. And it's just such a well-timed intimidation tactic. I mean, he's really unrelenting with her.
Yeah. In fact, that use of technology, whether, I mean, we had even at one point thought maybe he had dropped an Apple tag in her car, or just these little bitty, whatever he could do to keep track of her. Using that technology to control and isolate a partner, it'll escalate the phase. And are there any warning signs related to technology that friends and family or members of a community should be aware of? Let's say, okay, here's a great example. I don't even know if you know this, but his first wife, Allie, when she left him, he bought a house on the corner of the street where she moved. And
Oh,
at night, he would shine a laser from his house into the window of her house. And there are several police reports regarding that.
yeah.
And then she planted a tree to block his view. And he killed the tree. He put this stuff around the tree to kill the tree. Uh, I mean, the John Paul's police reports go back 20 years. We're not even going to start with the first one incident back in the 90s where he nearly ran over this woman twice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He,
I read
he's
that. I read that. And that's what made me think about it is that, when you're under 18 and you commit a crime, you have conduct disorder.
Mhm.
But then usually people that have conduct disorder at 18, it becomes a personality disorder such as antisocial personality disorder. And of course, these people, technology now is a part of our everyday lives, right? And so we're using it right now for good, but they're going to use it um, to track, and they could, like they could give you a pre-configured device and you don't even know it.
Mhm.
They could monitor you through shared accounts. I mean, there are so many different ways, right, that they can technologically track us. And that we just wouldn't think of it because our brains don't work like that. I'm not sitting at home trying to figure out how to track people using technology. And I'm sure AI is going to add a whole nother level.
Oh yes. Different from the 80s. My dad would just show up. He kind of knew everywhere my mom was, and I remember one day uh he come over, mom was laying out in the sun, and I looked out the window and I just see he's chasing my mom around and around in the yard with a weapon. And I'm probably 12, and I'm like, this is not normal. This is not normal behavior. But and so he controlled her into showing up and controlling her that way. But now there are technology, whether you can break into the social media, you know all their passwords, you know all their friends, you can, and it's just um really harder for women to totally escape when there's that kind of technology out there these days.
I agree. I agree.
I want to talk about chapter 2 of your book. That's titled, Is He Twisted or Tender?
Yep.
That's where you dive into the personality traits and manipulative behaviors of abusers in trauma bonds relationship, referred to as pathological lovers. Now, John Paul's actions, particularly, the alleged fraud, the potential use of the tracking devices, and the representation that he was giving everybody of Micah's mental health, although he is not a trained mental health provider.
Yeah.
They seem to align with several of those traits you discuss.
Oh, yeah.
Considering those parallels, how can people in similar situations effectively differentiate genuine express and care from the calculated manipulations of a pathological lover, especially within a relationship where trust and vulnerability are paramount?
Yeah, so a very simple way that I define a pathological lover, without going into all of the diagnoses, right? It's that a pathological lover will use, harm, exploit, and betray anybody and everyone, including their lover, their mother, their sister, their child, to get their needs met for money, power, pleasure, and status, right? So that's how I want everybody to think about a pathological lover. And when you're in a real love relationship, right? A pathological lover, since they want to get their needs met, they're going to have power and control over you. But in healthy love, you can have a healthy connection. But the second part of love that people don't talk about is somebody giving you the space to be who you are, somebody allowing you to have autonomy, somebody allowing you to have freedom, saying, yeah, you do you. You have free will. You're your own individual. I don't need to control you.
Yeah. Tonight, I'm doing my show. We're building a new house, my husband and I. So we temporarily are living with in our son's basement, and that's where I am right now. The house is almost done. We've been building it for a year and a half. I'm so happy to be out of my son's house. Trust me, we love him, but and so I was going to do the show tonight, and he said, "I'll go upstairs and watch football, honey." And he lets me do me. He's my biggest fan and my biggest cheerleader. He never tears me down to make him, especially to make himself feel better. And I feel like that's one of the qualities that you have to look in a spouse is your best friend, your lover, your confidant, your cheerleader through sickness and in health.
Yeah, and they don't feel threatened by you reaching your potential. They support you in reaching your potential.
Everybody's saying here, kitty, kitty, because my cat's in the background. I was like, why is everybody saying here, kitty, kitty in the comments? Sadie, she has to be a part of the show sometimes. Oh my goodness. So I wanted to move on to chapter 3 of your book, and that one is called trauma bonding, and we have repeated that term a thousand times because that is, I mean, that just really opened up my eyes. I never had really a term to describe my parents' relationship or what I saw growing up, but boy, did that define it. Um, and we've already asked that question. It's getting late. I'm reading this. I'm like, wait a minute. I've already asked this question. I already know the answer. So let's move on to chapter 4, which I've not got to. And really, I want to summarize a few things about chapter 4. You suggest individuals with traits like agreeableness, conscientiousness, they may be more vulnerable. And to trauma bonds. In chapter 7, it outlines strategies for safely escaping such relationships, which Mica, she really seemed to be trying to do, like she was documenting in the FBI raid, her lawyer Virginia Ward said they asked for everything and I gave everything. She had a journal. Even though he took her phone when he had her put in the hospital in February, um, she still kept detailed journals, which then made Micah's list. If you've read that, Micah's law, and they're trying to pass Micah's law in South Carolina, which would put in new rules and laws and regulations regarding coercive control. I'm going to send that to you. That's what they derived the list from, is her journal. What an amazing testimony.
Oh,
Um, right? I mean,
unbelievable.
oh
That's
my, that's what I suggest folks do. Write a journal. You
yeah.
know, keep it in safekeeping. That way, um, if something happens to you, we know, and if not, you've got something to tell your story later on.
That's right. That's right. And also, when you're dealing with abuse, you forget things, you feel gaslit, you don't know what's real. So, seeing it in black and white is super important.
That's right. How can positive personality traits like conscientiousness and agreeableness be protected and maintained without making individuals more susceptible to manipulation and control by a potential abuser?
Yeah, so what I would say, it's a great thing to take it's called the five factor. Take the test. If you do score high in agreeableness or conscientiousness, do not lean into agreeableness because agreeableness means you're loyal, you're tolerant, you're compliant, you're kind, you're pro-social, which are all great traits, but not when you're trying to leave this relationship. Lean into the conscientiousness, lean into being organized and disciplined and like take writing your notes and having good self-care and holding on to your moral compass and having integrity. But you got to kind of throw the agreeableness out the window because you're in for the fight of your life and you can't be agreeable with pathological people. It just doesn't work.
Mm, that's powerful. That's a powerful statement because not so much in significant other relationships, but I've got a few family members per se who will argue with you until the cows fly through the air. They don't. I mean, you're not gonna win.
Right, right. Right. And so people, and these people are antagonistic and hostile. So you have to lean into your other strengths. What other strengths you have? And you have them. Everybody has them.
Hmm.
Lean into those. Yeah.
Micah has truly changed my life, and she's changed so many lives because I can't tell you how many people have come to me and and people that I've met at the protest who are domestic violence survivors, and they are just learning to step up and have a voice for themselves, and it's because of people like you who make it through your adversity, and you made it into, and you became a doctor. And I just got the chills. I think that happened last time when I was talking about how awesome you are, because I love your story. I think you are amazing. You're so sweet and down to earth, and you're so knowledgeable. And so that's why I want everybody to get your book and trust you to help them through this process.
Yeah, because it is one thing to get my master's and to get my PhD, but I think why my book is different and why my patients love me is because I have been through it. Experience is the greatest teacher, unfortunately, in this situation, but there's nothing like lived experience. And I wrote my book to validate people everywhere that are going through this because they do feel so crazy and to take the stigma away from them because abuse and coercive control is always the fault of the abuser. And we've victimized, we've done so much damage to victims because why did she stay? Why did she stay? No, let's ask, why did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to turn that stigma on its head and also give education in terms because I believe, and that's what I write in the book when I sign it, is that education leads to empowerment.
I love that.
And we can heal. I'm living proof.
That's right.
Look what you went through with your childhood, right? And I'm in a loving, healthy marriage now for many years, and my daughter's a therapist. She's doing great. She just had her first baby.
Oh, congratulations.
And so, we can break generational trauma and we can heal and create a better future for, my little grandson.
Yes. I was filming with TMZ on last Wednesday, and I was talking to one of the producers uh, a little bit about where I'm from, and I said, it's really a holler to Hollywood story. I said, I would have never thought growing up in a holler in Appalachia, Kentucky, that I would be filming with, TMZ. I usually do that once a month. And I said, you wouldn't believe the crazy childhood I had. And to this is an honor for me to even that you would even give me your time. And so to me, that's a dream come true. That's like me, you know. So I appreciate you.
Yes, you and everybody's worth love and whatever their dreams are coming true. And it is possible if you put in the work, right? It doesn't just happen. You got to work.
No, it's a lot of work. Oh yes. Oh yes. It's you got to have a burn in your heart, a desire and goals, and you don't let nobody stop you or stand in your way. And if you'll stick to those morals and be a leader, you'll get to where you need to be.
Yes, and I always say trauma is life altering, but it's not a life sentence.
Amen. All right, everyone. Dr. Nadine Macaluso's book is called Run Like Hell. I have it pinned right now. You can grab that out of the TikTok shop and you will find all of her wonderful information inside. It comes beautifully wrapped. There's a video from a user on my page right now. I want you to go look how gorgeously that comes wrapped. And so you just feel good when you get it. You feel like it was wrapped with care and there's a note that was wrote with care. And so you already feel like you have a friend when the book shows up.
You do. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, Doctor. It's always a pleasure, and I hope that Micah's story continues to be told and lessons to be learned from that and lives to be saved with her story and your book. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on and wishing you and yours a very, very Merry Christmas.
You too. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Take care. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye. Oh my goodness, everybody. What did you think about the show? What did you guys think? Isn't she amazing? Oh my goodness. Everybody, yes, she's so great. Her book, Run Like Hell. Oh my goodness. I saw all of your all's comments. She, oh, I'm right, Joyfully. Isn't she amazing? Oh man. Oh yes. Make sure you go follow her, Dr. Nay Productions. Yes. Oh, it is an awesome book. It is. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh my goodness, the panel is open. If you guys want to talk about the book, if you've gotten the book or read any portion of the book, if you want to just talk about, oh, Riss Ross, I know you've got the book. You make me want to, Riss Ross, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I like your shirt.
Oh, wait, I have to change the layout so everyone can see.
Okay.
Yay! We match. We match.
Yay.
We're twinsies.
I love it.
Thank
So
you.
I actually have the book and I have been reading it like nonstop since I got it. But in chapter 1 on page 12, I am a domestic violence survivor. So seeing this on paper, like written out, really blew my mind because I understand that domestic violence is a serious thing, but I didn't realize how bad it really is until I read this paragraph. And it says in the United States, nearly 20 people per minute, equaling 1,200 an hour, 28,800 daily, and 10 million people yearly. Like that blew my mind reading that.
Wow.
Like I mean, that just really put it in perspective how bad domestic violence really is all over the world. And I was like, holy crap. Like it was definitely mind blowing for sure. I mean, this whole book, like if you can, please buy this book because this whole book, like I'm in a great marriage now, but I still have a lot of healing left to do that I didn't even realize until I started reading her book.
I love your little bookmarks too. Let me see.
Thank you.
Oh
This
my
came
gosh.
from a little package and I just slipped it in there.
Oh, oh, well, it works, right?
Matches,
Maybe
yeah,
I
that's what
should
I
make
thought.
some Steph Case Files bookmarks.
You should. I need one.
Oh,
But yeah, I just
um,
wanted to share that little snippet. I seen some other people in the comments that said they had read it or had just gotten it, but that part so far is what's really stuck out the most to me.
yes. You know the stats 7 times that when that video, I saw that circulating around, and I I I I, I was taken back because Micah was approximately 7 times,
Right.
and it just stood out to me, um, how many times that people struggle to get away from their situation and
Yeah.
don't understand or don't recognize because of the gaslighting and the narcissism and the trying to,
Yeah.
reverse psychology per se that they try to do on you.
My ex, my daughter's father, that was his number one thing was the unaliving of himself that Dr. Nay actually touched on earlier. They use that as a way to guilt trip you back. He would use that all the time, but he is the master at reverse psychology. And it would get me every time. And I don't think people really understand the really mental toll that it takes on you as well. I
Mhm.
hate when people say, like Dr. Nay was just saying, like, well, why didn't she leave? I loved her response. It's no, why is he doing that?
That's right.
And it says that the domestic violence rate is up by 8% just since COVID because everybody was locked inside.
Yes, I didn't realize that or think about it that way.
Yeah, I didn't either until I read that. I was just like, I have reread this page, that paragraph, 1,000 times since I read it the first time because it just, I can't let go of it. Like, it's just working around in my little brain, like, holy crap.
No interruption. I can see everybody's talking about Sadie back there still in the
Yes.
show.
I seen her came in there earlier. I was like, oh, she wants to be the star of the show for a while.
I seen people were like, "Here, kitty, kitty," in the comments, and I'm trying to be professional, trying not to laugh. And I'm like, "What?"
I see.
Oh, she's a mess. She thinks she's a diva back there. Look at
I
her.
love that Gabby's dad is in here again. That is so awesome.
He's amazing. Jim Smith, everybody's in here. A really cool dude. Um, Loves his wife, Nikki, Gabby's mom. Loves being an advocate for domestic violence, and I love it, especially when men stand up and say that's wrong. You
Yes,
know, and domestic violence can happen with men or women, and I'm not saying one way or the other, but when men step up and say no, that gives another boost of confidence to women to kind of feel heard from the male perspective.
absolutely. 110%. I agree with that.
Yeah. Does anybody else joyfully? I see you coming up to the panel.
She better have her shirt on.
Oh yes, she had. Now we're going to be triplets.
Yeah.
Hi, you still got your shirt on? Oh, hey, maybe she clicked it by accident.
Uh-oh. I thought she was coming to be triplets.
I'll let her down. Oh no, there she is.
Oh,
I was about to disconnect you. Yeah.
What? I have my shirt on. What?
And y'all didn't even know I was going to wear my shirt tonight. Y'all didn't even know that.
Nope, I wear it every Saturday night.
Oh,
I'm
thank
watching the
you.
show. I even bought a waterproof heater to keep in the shower. So that way, if I need to shower and you're on, I'm not missing it.
And what's funny is I put it on because yesterday, on my live, Cassandra was on there, and she didn't have her camera on. She was with her baby, but she had your shirt on, Steph. and her baby was poking your face, and she had us all laughing because the baby was just like blah 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 blah, 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 but he was poking your
Aw.
face. It was so funny. And that's what made me look for your shirt today.
Oh, that's
Love
so
that.
awesome. I love that.
That's so funny.
I was picturing that. I could not get that image out my head. I was like, that's so cute. I wish you would have gotten that on camera to show Steph.
Oh. Britt says, I'm eating a dinner, but I had to comment. This is the best, the three of you.
If you go to her
That's
website,
right.
scfmerch.com, you can get one. And since you're a subscriber, message her. You'll get a special discount code.
Yeah, 60% off. If you're a subscriber, we have
Oh my
three.
There's my girl.
What is happening right now? Triplets.
God.
I
There's
mean,
my girl.
quadruplers. Quads.
I was in the shower listening to the phone, and I was like,
I'm glad I'm not the only one that showers and
laid
listens
out.
either.
No, you're seriously not the only one. But I had laid my shirt out, like, oh, I'm gonna wear my shirt tonight, and I was like, oh, that's right, Steph's on. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll wear my shirt tonight. So yeah, here we are. We're quads.
I love it.
I gotta finish getting dressed.
Well, that's awesome.
She probably naked from the shirt down.
Probably.
I'll speak. I will not say no words.
She just had to make sure that
Yeah.
she could leave real quick, though.
That's right.
You said it all, my dear.
You know, I
That's
did notice
awesome.
that while you were talking to Dr. Nay, that 2 people actually bought this book, and I love that because at first it was like, should I get it? I don't know. Like, that was a past part of my life. But I'm telling you, even if you think that you don't need it, you do. Because there are so many things that have been brought to my attention just in the first chapter. I'm like, I never thought about it like that. Or, maybe that's why I still am so angry at certain things when it comes to my daughter's father.
Yeah.
Because he is my child's father. You know what I mean? This book has just really put things in a very different perspective. And I think that every woman that has been or is in domestic violence needs to read it.
Thank you.
I agree with you on that. And I was late coming in. I'm sorry, I completely forgot. Like, we lost track of time because I was live. I have not gotten the book yet. It's going to be really hard for me to get it just because I'm out of the country. Shipping is crazy, but I am going to get it. But she just said one thing that just completely. Trauma is life altering, but not a life sentence. I wrote that down.
Yes.
That part, because I don't think we ever completely heal. Maybe we move forward and heal from some things. Maybe we're able to kind of sort of disguise other things, or we just get used to carrying that baggage. So we just lug it and keep it pushing. But to hear that phrase just now, I don't know, that it literally knocked the wind out of me. Because even if I'm not outwardly showing signs of trauma, I know I still carry that shit everywhere. Excuse my French, Steph, but you know
No,
me.
you're fine.
I
No,
know I still carry that everywhere.
Exactly.
And it has such a large impact literally on every decision I make every day. I still hear his voice in my head, and I left him 6 years ago. I'll get in front of the mirror wearing a certain thing, and I still hear him in my head telling me, you look like a streetwalker. You look like this. I still hear that. I just had a nightmare about him 2 nights ago. So that part right there, it's life altering, but not a life sentence. It damn well should not be a life sentence. He doesn't deserve to still be living up in here.
Exactly.
that's right.
And that's where I was at. Like, I didn't realize I was still hanging on to so much stuff until I started reading this. And now it's like I have some stuff to work through to completely let it go so that it's not still living rent free in my head.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to get that book. Oh, Just Me wanted a screenshot. She
Wanted a
was yelling at
screenshot.
Cassidy to come back on.
I'm like, did you get your picture?
I hope that people got their
And I hope for all the
screenshots.
haters got it too. I hope all the haters
I
got
hope
it.
somebody posted in the
Well, this one's
Discord.
for the haters. This one's for the haters.
I'm waiting because everyone has a concerned face, she said. I'm talking so serious.
Chaz,
way-
turn your camera back on.
I wanted to announce Jim Schmidt is just become a subscriber.
Yay!
So welcome to the SCF family.
I love that.
Welcome.
Okay, now we have to smile
Oh.
so just me can get her screenshot of all the Steph fam. Hurry up now, because we're sitting, and then we're gonna find out she's taking video.
I do that all the
Right.
time.
I'm like, where am I supposed to look though? Like,
Right.
Oh, I wish I had my shirt on. Hey, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Is the book available in audiobook? Because I have a friend that needs this book, but
Yes.
probably doesn't need her husband to know she's reading it.
Right.
Yes, you can get that in the in fact I bought the audiobook myself. In Audible, that's what I use. Yes.
I also seen it on Amazon because I looked on Amazon before I realized that Steph had it linked. And then also, don't buy it from Amazon, guys. It's more expensive on Amazon than it is from Steph's link.
Okay.
I came back over to TikTok and ordered it off of Steph's link, but on Amazon as well, there was a choice for an audiobook.
Okay. I think I'm going to buy it
Audio
for her
or
for Christmas.
ebook. Yes.
Okay. Great.
And that's a great question, Krista, because there is going to be situations where maybe someone is still in that position and they want to be able to read that, and that's not something that they can physically have because it could be dangerous.
I'm going to talk to Dr. Nate about maybe seeing if we could add this as an digital download option. You can add digital products to TikTok Shop. I think right now it's just a hard copy, but I think that would be an amazing thing if a digital ebook link was available as an option also.
I think she would probably sell a lot more than she's already selling.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably,
for women or even men that may need to read it.
Yeah.
You know, and I
That's a
didn't
great
even
point,
think about that
Krista.
until Krista said it. That's a really good point.
That's a great point. I love that.
Some rando.
Dallybone says Spotify has it.
Oh, Spotify, good.
Okay.
I just wanted to say some rando. I saw that you still need a mystery package. Will you please send me a message? That obviously, I thought I was caught up. Yours probably got overlooked. But please send me a message and I'll make sure that gets out by Monday, okay?
I'm a hardback girl. That's what I got is a hardback. And I love it. It's so pretty. It came wrapped so beautifully. And she writes your name in it and everything. And a little message. And then she said,
Wow.
Oh, I'm going to have to buy it.
packaging, everything was just so pretty. Like Steph said, it makes you feel like you have a friend already.
And what makes it great is that she's been through it. It's not like, somebody just went to school just to be going to school. Like she's bringing her personal experience to the book.
It's not clinical.
That part.
So I saw a question in the chat. Someone asked, how did she finally get the courage to leave? Is that in the book or has she said?
She hasn't, I don't believe that I've asked her that. I really want to get into telling her story, and that's probably what we're going to talk about next, because she wrote the book, but she wants her story not to be that one told on the movie and only that. There's so many different facets and parts to it. And so that's an interesting question to know. How did she
There is a
finally
little
leave?
part in the book that talks about when she left and why.
Oh, okay. Yes, go ahead. Do you
Pretty
know? Can you?
much, just pretty much the movie shows you at the end like she's leaving when he gets arrested, right? And like she pretty much just confirms that in her book and just says like she knew that like that was her chance, like she had to. Otherwise, so taking the opportunity, she knew that she had to load her kids up and just go.
Yeah, I do remember her talking about loading them up and going to California And she didn't even have any money at that point. Obviously, she, because she just really put the baby in the car and just
Yeah,
like
she
she said,
goes
just like
into
my mom
detail
did.
like that in the book. I haven't gotten to that part yet, but at the beginning there is like just a little part where she gives you an example of why she has the experience and has been through it personally, and she's not just getting this, like from a college book. She's lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important because in and of itself, it's really hard for someone to find a therapist that they truly click with, that
Exactly.
truly works for you. And a lot of people give up after one or two, not realizing that you actually have to look around and find a therapist that you fit with and is going to be able to help you.
Right.
But then to add to that, to be a victim of DV, to be a victim of who knows how many levels of cruelty, and that the therapist that you're dealing with has never experienced that. I'm sorry, but if you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly.
Period. You have to live it to understand it. There isn't a single book in this world. There's even us as victims, we can't describe that to someone that's never been there.
Nope.
There's just no way. You're never going to understand it.
Yes, I totally agree. Um, I can't even. I would never even a centimeter claim to know what you ladies have been through because um, your situations are different than I happened to meet my husband in high school. He's always been great. Other people have different experiences, and so I'm here as a witness to what my mom went through, what I witnessed growing up, um, to what some of my friends have been through, what you ladies have been through, giving you a platform and giving you a voice for other people out there who are going through it. Because I have to tell you, seeing the guy getting unalived right in front of me when I was 8 years old, that was the straw. Okay. I remember being 8 years old and looking out the window. This guy's like literally legit by my swing set bleeding out. And I'm thinking, this cannot be normal.
No.
At 8, I'm like, I
Oh,
cannot wait to get out of here. And the day my mom left was the best day of my life, literally. And I loved my dad, but he was an alcoholic, narcissistic, abusive son of a bitch. I loved him as my dad. He wasn't a great one. May he rest in peace, Dad. Don't worry. He'll agree with me. He made his peace. He died from cancer. We forgave each other and so on. And he talked about it, and everybody moved on. But he was a mess. And he projected his mess onto me, onto
yep.
mom, and everybody and everything around him. He wanted to pull everybody down with him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Me getting into toxic narcissistic relationships stemmed from me thinking that that's what was okay because of how I grew up with my parents. I love my dad to death. He's an amazing grandpa, amazing grandpa. But when it came to being a husband and a father, he was not the best. His mom left whenever he was really young, and he just hated women after that. Like he just, all women, all he seen was his mom. And he's just very narcissistic. Like everything is everybody else's fault besides his. And I used to remember begging my mom to leave him as a child. Like, please just leave. Like, I'll still come see him on the weekends, whatever, but please just leave. And she never did until I was an adult, and now she's already back. So it's just that right there is a perfect example of a trauma bond, for one. But as a mom now, I will never, that was the main thing that made me really be like, I have to leave my daughter's father. Because we were so toxic that I didn't want her growing up thinking that that was okay like I did. I want her to see happy, healthy, mommy being loved the correct way so that she sees that the right way to be loved is not to be, hit on or totally be put down every day. It makes a big difference when your children are watching, for sure.
Or even as a kid, as you see your parent, like say my mom, like constantly in these horrible situations, and you see how the pattern that she went through, that's all you know growing up, and then you find yourself in that same pattern.
Yep. And that's right
Finding
where I was at.
finding these same men that are horrible, that treat you like poop, but that's all you've seen your mom go through, and you
Yep.
think that's okay because you look up to a parent, and just the stress of that, and then you meet somebody that you think is great, and it's the same situation. You got to get out. You got to fight your way out.
And kids really do see what their parents' relationship is like, and that is really what they will look for. Because I got my first domestic violent relationship at 16 years old, and I almost lost my life at 16 years old because I thought that that's what love was supposed to be like because of my parents.
Yeah. That's
You
hard.
guys are so brave to me telling your stories and using your giving examples of your situation. That really means a lot to me that you guys are choosing to speak about that, and I want you to know that. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for giving us a safe
Thank
space because I've never really talked about it on TikTok before at all.
Oh man, what a weekend. Well, what else have y'all been into doing this weekend? Y'all been just hanging?
Last minute Christmas shopping.
Oh Lord, I gotta finish mine tomorrow.
Walmart was a disaster today. I was like, I'll come back on Monday.
Hey, Steph, do you have an update on tan lines?
I don't.
Yeah, that was in the comments a lot.
Okay.
I know, and I started to message them and ask,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to give them their space. I
Yeah.
probably will message her tomorrow. I'm trying to give them a few days to see what's next. I don't know if she's still on the vent or what has happened.
Yeah.
But probably tomorrow, sometime afternoon, I'll just say, hey, I just wanted to give you a few days, and can you give an update so I can let everybody know? And I'm sure they'll respond.
Because sometimes that weaning down stuff can take a while and be tricky because they'll start to, it doesn't work, they got to put them back on, and then they'll try again the next day. So,
Oh yes, my mom. It's such a long story, darling. But I basically had to fight this "Let's Go Out in Georgia" judge in Harlan, where I'm from. I had to fight him to get custody of my mom, even though she had early onset dementia and she was in hospice
oh my goodness.
and she was sick, and her caretaker wouldn't take her to the doctor anyway. He kept putting off court and and rescheduling it, and she ended up getting so sick because she's on oxygen. She also had COPD and emphysema in her left lung, extruded so much that it flipped her heart over the wrong way. She ended up in the hospital. She crashed. She ended up on life support. And honey, I'm gonna tell you something. The day she went on life support, I called my lawyer and I said, if you do not get me an emergency hearing before the judge today, he is not going to like the next phone call he gets. And I got my emergency hearing and got guardianship of my mom that day. But it took 4 months.
That's insane.
I had video of her. She got down to 95 pounds. And her dementia was real bad, but she still could type, And so she would send me a message on Facebook Messenger. I'm sick. I'm so sick. Please help me. I'm so sick. And she would done that over and over. And I had video. I had medical records where he took her down and gave her to my aunt. And my aunt took her to the hospital and she had to have blood transfusion. I had all of that, abandonment, all of that. He just kept sipping his coffee. And what made it the most horrible is that I went to school with him and I've known him since I was 5 years old, and we walked the same streets. We walked the same hollers. And he still would not listen to me. And I went to and stood up for my mom because of everything she went through in her life. And all of the times, no one stood up for her. And I brought her back. I transferred to Tennessee. I got her, we had to teach her basically how to walk enough to get to the porta potty. And I brought her home, and I was able to provide her a peaceful last 8 weeks of her life. At the time of her passing, my mom was 120 pounds.
Aww.
But we have to keep being advocates for the elderly, for our parents, for domestic abuse of survivors, for child abuse, for the missing, for everything you can possibly think of. Because when you lay down tonight, I can guarantee you there's somebody real bad off in the world, in a real bad situation. And they need your prayers. And they need knowledge like Dr. Nadine provides.
Absolutely. There is not a night that I don't go to bed thanking God that is not, I'm not one of those people anymore.
Woo! I mean, I get fired up. I mean, I want to go throw down over my mom right now. And she's been gone, over 2 years now. It feels like it just happened yesterday. And I'll tell you, listen, I'll tell y'all, I know my nose is itching. I apologize. Itchy nose. But I'll tell you, this is a true story, okay? I'm going to share this with you. And I've not shared it with many people. This is how much domestic violence can affect you in your life. My mom came off life support March 2022, 66 years old. She passes away the following August from early onset dementia. She come off life support, and I'm sitting, it's just a few days later, she's eating, drinking, she's speaking. It's not like she just woke up straight out of life support, although I wouldn't put it past her because she was hot as a fire dog, honey. She will whip your hind end in a hot split second. And she's just sitting there and she's just talking away. And she's talking, and I'm looking over and I'm like, there's nobody there. And she's just sitting there. She said, and she was talking to my dad and wearing him out. Now, my dad's been gone since 2002.
Oh.
And she was sitting there saying, now, John, you're going to have to get a job because Stephanie needs a car.
Aww.
She's in high school and she's got a job. And now you're going to have to do something. Now, I done it all her life. And now I done it, and you done put me through shit. And it took me all those years, and I ain't going to take care of you no more. Now, you got to step it up now and start helping me and take care of her and they had not been together since 1985. And she was sitting there having a full-on conversation with him about all of the domestic violence he put her through. And the only thing I could say was, you better run, Dad. You better run and hide when she crosses, because you're going to get it.
He was coming for you, bud.
Oh, my word. And I got it on film. Maybe I'll upload it because I started filming. I didn't know what to think.
They do say that whenever they're close to going to the other side, they can start seeing those that are already on the other side. I've heard that a lot. Like my aunt swears that the night my grandpa passed away, she seen my grandma walk in there and grab his hand. And I'm like, you said what?
Oh my goodness. There was so many things that happened with my mom the last few weeks of her life as far as seeing dead people. As a oh yes, Lauren. Oh yes, yes. And you always heard about it. People on hospice seeing the people,
Lauren.
but until it happens in front of your face, I mean, it's just different.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, you want to win one of those shirts one day?
Like my grandpa got real bad. Like I moved in with him to take care of him so that he didn't have to go to a nursing home. And I was like in the kitchen cooking him something to eat one day, and he's like, no, it's okay. That's my granddaughter. She's not gonna hurt me. I peeked my head around the corner. I'm like, Grandpa, who are you talking to? Because it was just me and him there. He's like, oh, that little girl in the corner. You don't see her? She thinks you're gonna hurt me. But I told her it's okay because you're my granddaughter and you would never hurt me. I'm like, there ain't no little girl in the corner. I was so scared, but I didn't know what to do or what to say. I was just like, oh, okay. And I went back into the kitchen. But then later I found out that he had a little sister pass away. So that was probably the little girl, maybe, that he was seeing in the corner.
Maybe. I mean, they see them. My mom, my daughter does not know anybody from my mom's side because they still live up in the mountains and we moved from the mountains.
Yeah.
So she does not know anybody's name on mom's side and just nothing we ever talked about. And so my daughter comes into the room and she says, Mom, who's Uncle Joe?
Oh.
And I'm like, how do you know Uncle Joe? What? She said, Mama was sitting there talking to somebody named Uncle Joe sitting in a chair. She said he was sitting right there. And that's her uncle, Uncle Joe. Heard about him my whole life. Got killed in the coal mines in the 80s when I was a little bitty. I wouldn't even remember him by this point.
Right.
And I was like, you're kidding me right now. And so how do you explain that?
Exactly. Like he started swearing up and down to my dad that like this guy was in his room every night throwing a party. Well, my uncle was an alcoholic and he passed away before my grandpa did, like years before he did. And my dad, I just remember my dad going, it has to be my brother. It has to be because he's the only one that would ever throw parties in Dad's house and Dad would get mad. So I never really believed all of that stuff until I moved in with my grandpa to take care of him. And I was 18 years old, I was young. And I started experiencing all that stuff myself. But what really got me is after my grandpa passed away, I chose to stay at his house for a while, especially to like help clean stuff up and everything. They had put a hospital bed in his room and he didn't want one. He wanted his own bed, but he just wasn't able to like get up and down anymore. Well, he used to get fit throwing mad if you closed his bedroom door for any reason. Well, after he passed, I would keep the door closed. Well, I shut it one day, left, came back, and it was wide open. And I'm like, Called my dad. I'm like, have you been over here? He's like, no. So I go over there, I shut the door again, and then the door opened again. I was like, okay, I'm not touching it no more. Like, I'm not touching it. But that whole situation made a believer out of me. I was like, okay, I'm not touching it no more. You win.
It's that makes me believe. You ever heard that song by Books and Dunn? Oh, I Believe. What is it called, you guys?
Yes. I know what you're talking about. I think it's called I Believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you believe it, but now I believe
Right.
it. That there has to be something more. Because my husband has had 3 siblings pass. 2 of them within a week of each other.
Wow.
One from the C word, the COVID word, in August of 2021. And then a week later, his sister passed from an overdose. And back in 1994, his other brother passed in a car accident. So, Mom's sitting. We finally have gotten her to the kitchen table. This is in the last few weeks of her life. And she's sitting there eating some soup. I'll never forget it. Justin, my husband, walks in. Come home from work, walks in the kitchen. She sits there. She's like, oh, hey, Justin, you just missed your brothers. They were just here. And they wanted to tell you, they said hello. And I'm like, we were both like,
Yes, after my grandpa passed away and I finally went back to my parents' house, I woke my dad up one night, like screaming, like literally screaming. I was terrified. I was having a dream that I was like being attacked. But then all of a sudden I seen my grandpa and I was like reaching for him. But then I was like sitting up on my bed and I was awake and my grandpa was in my room. And my dad's like, oh, it's fine. He's just trying to let you know he's okay. And I'm like, he couldn't have found some other way to do that than to just sit right on my bed with me in the middle of the night. Like, come on.
yeah.
But that whole situation, I was 18 when that happened. I went ghost hunting with my friends when I was younger and all that stuff, but none of that really made me truly believe until I experienced all of that after my grandpa passed away. And then I was like, okay, there is definitely some truth to this whole thing.
Yeah, Mimi says that's what my mom said. Oh man. It's it was like Grand Central Station. And now I saw the spirits when I was little. I don't know if you have any ghost stories, girl. But I'm telling you, I seen the spirits. My mama's house was the haunted house up the holler. I'm telling you. Nobody liked to spend the night at my house. And I was so used to it. I was like, but they're just them,
Right.
And
It's my friends.
yeah. Yeah, basically. We were going to have to be friends because I couldn't move out. I was little. So we just had to get along. And some creepy stuff happened. And I never really thought, of course, my parents got divorced, moved out of my mama's house. Mama died. Everybody moved on. And so until my mom went into hospice care, I did not think about how real the afterlife can be until I just can't explain it to you guys. It's like seeing the afterlife without it. They call it on the veil. There's a phrase for it. They call it the veil. It's where they are exiting. They're on the veil of they're still here, but they're also on the other side.
Yeah, I never really believed in mediums until my best friend, my sister, passed away 3 years ago. And then I just happened to randomly get asked if my name was my name one day. And I was like, do I know you? Like, how? But then they started telling me stuff that, like, I didn't know them from Adam. And then they started telling me stuff, like, about her and, like, how she passed. And then, like, was telling me, like, all this stuff that only she would know. And I was just like, I never believed in mediums my whole life. I thought they were not real, whatever. What's that one that has that big TV show?
Teresa Caputo?
Yes. My mom always watched that show when I was a little girl, and I used to be freaked out by it, I think. So I'd be like, Mom, you're weird, like, because I think it just scared me. But after my best friend passed away, her sister went to a Teresa Caputo, like, live show, and she was like, no, that's real. Like, there's no way. Like, it's real. And I was like, I don't know. But then someone approached me and was like, I don't know if you believe in this stuff, but so in the last 3 years, I've started to look more into, like, the mediumship aspect of it all, but it's a little freaky. But I can't say that I'm not a believer of it anymore either.
Right, yeah. Matt Frazier, I love him. And I'll tell you that I go to the Teresa Caputo comes here to Knoxville live every year, and every year we go, my daughter and I,
That's awesome.
I also watched it as she's how old is my daughter now? Oh Lord, she's 22.
Yeah.
And so she watched it when she was a little girl too. I would have it on, and she'd come in and like,
my mom
now she goes with
me. Her and her little bleach blonde hair and her nails, like, all the time.
Yeah, I just love her. And I have to tell you, I think this last time was like year 3 or 4. I've seen her in a row live, and every single time I'm mind blown. And I just don't know. It just seems so real on TV. Forget about it in person. She just walks around the theater and just,
Oh my.
and I'm like, I wish I could talk to dead people. I want to talk to.
Right. Exactly.
So it's pretty cool. It depends on your belief, just passing through. And I think we all kind of respect each other's beliefs. I happen to believe, because of the spirits that I seen when I was little, I wasn't evil. So what makes her evil? That she can see the spirits, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, everybody's always been like, oh, tread lightly on that, just because you never know. But I don't know. I used to be so scared of it as a kid, but then it was like, when my sister passed away, I became obsessed with it because I was with her and then I went home and then she was gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I became obsessed with like, I need to talk to her. I have to talk to her. You know what I mean? Like it was bad for a while, but now that I've kind of worked through that grief,
Mm-hmm.
I have looked into mediumship a lot more, like understand a lot more about it. But
Yeah.
at first it was just like, oh, that's so bad. You're going to invite in bad spirits. And I'm like, I don't care.
Oh, I agree, Rando. I'm going to tell y'all something. I know about them bad spirits, honey. I would have one come see me every night, and I nicknamed her the witch. Come to find out, 40 years later,
She was a witch?
so did my cousins.
Oh.
We were talking in a family group, and they're like, wait a minute, we nicknamed her the witch.
Oh my
And she would, I know, everybody's gonna think I'm crazy. Tomorrow they're gonna be calling like, are you okay? I'm telling you, this really happened. This would come every night. And my grandmother's house was built in like the 1800s. And so we had those old wooden doors, with the crystal hand doorknobs for
Yes.
and that door would creak open every night, and she had this really ugly hand, and it was just really like a dead hand, and she'd put her fingers around the edge of that door.
Girl, I was screaming.
Look, this is what I'd remember almost every night, and she'd open that door right there, and she'd look around, and she'd just stand there and stare at me.
Did she used to live in the house that you lived in?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard to find the or the origination of the house because
Yeah.
the house, my grandmother moved in the house in the 1930s, and it was old when she moved in.
Yeah.
It's untelling. So you can't really trace it that far because people up the holler just build themselves a house.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a builder you could call, they just whooped it up.
Right. Yeah, we have a town here called Newburgh, and that's where my grandparents lived, and that's how that town is. Like, it's so tiny. The population's like 400.
Yeah.
And there's just little houses up on a hill.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like that, And so, my grandmother's house had 20 something windows,
Oh, no.
and it was one level. And I always hated that because I always felt like there were people in the yard always looking in all the freaking windows.
I bet.
Stephen Crabtree's in the house, everybody.
Oh, hi, Steven. Look, he was on live last night doing some ghost shit. I seen it, and I was like, ooh, okay, I'm out. It got a little creepy.
Really?
Yeah.
What was you doing, Stephen?
I don't remember where they were, but I just remember coming across this live, and then I was like, ooh, no, I'm out.
Ooh.
It did
Yes,
look
they
pretty
would-
interesting, though, because they had the little gadgets and everything.
Yes, and they would creak. They're saying the houses would creak. Every step, every
Go watch my
time.
video. It's wild. Oh, God.
Oh God, no, I'm scared.
Look, it was scary last night when I was watching it. That's why I was like, this is a little too much for me, and it's dark. It's bedtime. I'm going to go ahead and leave now.
Stephen's feeling for discovery.
That is amazing.
That's amazing. But
Right.
don't ask me to come on one of your shows.
I can't do scary. Me neither, Krista.
I can't take it.
Like, my husband thinks I'm crazy because I swear up and down at the house that we bought last year, I swear it's haunted. We've been remodeling the whole thing, but like this house was old. And my kid's pediatrician, this was her childhood home. Her mom passed away from cancer like not last year, but the year before. And she passed away inside this house. But then my pediatrician swears up and down that when she was little and she lived here, that this house was haunted, and she was always so scared. And it's in the hallway that all my kids' bedrooms are at. And if I'm in the living room late at night and I'm looking down that hallway, I just get so creeped out. Like there's just a vibe, there's a presence, and I swear it. And my husband's like, "You're crazy. That's not real." I'm like, "I promise you." But then when my pediatrician started telling me her stories, I was like, "Oh, we have to move. Like we have to move right now." Like my son, he'll be 2 in April. Like he'll just stare off into space and just like stare over there, and then he'll just be like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Who are you hiing to?" Like.
Stephen says we were there for the Franklin County, Kentucky jail, and the video I put up was me talking about Sebastian. Shut the front door.
Oh, I gotta go watch that then. If I would have known that when I was in the live, I would have stayed, but they wasn't giving descriptions when I came in. They was just talking.
Oh, snap.
But like I said, they did have like all the gadgets and everything set up, and like so that, I mean, they were doing it.
Coco.
See, I came up to say something, but my dumb dog's barking her head off, so I gotta sit on mute for a second until she stops.
Okay. Coco posted she's near Franklin County.
Ooh.
Stop. Jinx. We're like,
do you go ghost hunting, Coco Puff?
You know, I wanted to go ghost hunting when I was younger, and my husband and I grabbed this old house and to flip it long time ago, probably 15 years ago. And it had those, we gutted it, we pulled the walls down, and it had old newspaper stuffed inside as the insulation, you know, from like the 30s and 40s and stuff. And the old penny wood, you know, the old thin wood. And so we got that thing done. I never did like the vibe. And so I decided that me and my friend's going to go down and take a little recorder and go down and do a little ghost session, because the house is done. We was about to put it on the market. And I said, we've got to take the chance. And we go in the kitchen, and I lay down the device, and I ask some questions. We hear nothing. Promise we heard nothing. And I play it back, and we heard something. And I've never done it again. I've never done it again. Nope.
Yeah, see, I've never done the recordings, but I have done where like we've taken pictures next to gravestones, and you know, most of the time we wouldn't see anything, but there was this one night that we went to this little bitty cemetery that nobody knows about. It's up on a hill. It's super old. If you take a piece of paper and a crayon and sketch the graves, like they say the creepiest things on them. And we took a picture, and there was this man's face right next to the tombstone. He was literally flipping us off. And I was like, nope, time to go. Like, we're out. I'm done. Like, he's mad, and I'm not. Nope, time to go. And I've never taken no more pictures after that because I was so scared. Because it was nighttime, and then the flash just happened to catch it, and it scared me to death. I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Oh, my God. Graveyards are no joke.
No, they're really not.
We lived across the road from one in this house one time my mom rented. And every night, I get chills. I hated that graveyard so bad, darling. Every night, I promise, something would shake my bed.
Oh.
Every night, it would come and just... Every single night. And I knew it was that dab-nab graveyard. And so when we left and moved from there, I was so happy. Because my bed didn't shake anymore.
I would have been incredibly happy.
But if you'd went in there, you 13, you're 14 years old, you're like, something's shaking in my bed.
Your mom thinks you're crazy because there's nothing there. Yeah.
So I told no one ever until now, actually.
Right?
Surprise.
Everybody
Yeah.
always looks at me like my husband always looks at me like I'm crazy. Like, that's not real. I'm like, okay, wait until it happens to you and then come back and tell me it's not real.
Yes, I
And it
know.
never happens to them, does it?
No, it don't. Like, nothing ever happens to my husband. I'm just like, why me? Why do you choose me? Why can't you choose him?
There's certain people that are receptive to it and people that aren't. Um, I just moved into the house that I'm in now at the end of August. And the first couple of nights, let me tell you something. I still haven't finished unpacking. Okay, there's still a lot of stuff that we need to build a shed and needs to go back in the shed. But the first few nights, the house was an absolute mess, boxes and bags everywhere. And I had boxes on the little living room table, like your little coffee table. The boxes had things in them. And I'm sitting in the dining room, and there's a wall that wouldn't allow me to see the living room. And my son is standing next to me. So where he was standing, he was able to see inside the living room, but he wasn't really looking in there. He was looking at me. And all of a sudden, the box flies off the kitchen, the little table.
Oh, nope.
My son jumped. I heard it. He saw it. And that was the first one. The second one is the house has some cabinets, and I have some really large plastic bowls that I use to defrost meat in that are upside down up on the very top of the cabinets. The cats can't even get up there. And I have a shitload of cats, but the cats can't even get up there. And I have the largest one, and then the medium and the smaller ones are inside or underneath the larger one. One of the medium one somehow flew out from under the large one onto the kitchen floor. So I was like, okay, that's weird. But I still haven't touched the weirdest one. I go into the kitchen to wash my hands. And you know how you have your little dish rack next to your sink, right? Where you put your dishes. There were plates there. I don't have glass dishes because my kids break absolutely everything. So everything is plastic in my house, even though my kids are now 16 and 17 years old. There were plates stacked very nice and neatly in order on the rack. I wash my hands. I turn around, and a dish flies out of the rack into the sink. The plate was leaning completely to the left. The sink is to the right. It flew out of the rack into the sink. So recently, the owner came to the house. She came to introduce herself because she's not the one that's in charge of like charging the rent and everything. She has someone else that does that, like a property manager. But she came personally, and I have a ton of plants. I love plants. So I have little pots and everything everywhere. And she came, and she was so happy to see all these plants. And she said her mom absolutely loved plants. This is her mom's house. And that she has rented the house several times already, and most of the plants that were planted in the yard were ripped up by the renters and things like that. There's just this one bougainvillea that's really big that she told everybody. She tells everybody that rents here, if you touch that, you're out, because her mom planted that. So I have the house full of plants, and now I have plants inside as well. And she's done weird things, because I'm convinced this is this lady's mom. She's done weird things, but you can tell the difference between like a malicious spirit and just someone that kind of wants to be known and acknowledged. And I really think she loves the fact that the plants are inside now, because there haven't been any other weird things. Like things would move, things would shift. But since I started putting plants inside, that hasn't happened anymore.
That's
So I think she's
amazing.
happy with the plants. She's happy that I'm taking care of her bougainvillea. I took some cuttings, and I'm gonna plant some more in other parts of the yard just to, propagate the bougainvillea. And it's just a crap load of plants that I have everywhere. A lot of people, when I go live, I go out into my yard and I show people my plants. So a lot of the people that are in here have seen them. And I think that has her like really happy.
Mm,
It's so weird though.
that's
Because I've
awesome.
been in haunted places, and you can feel it. You can feel it. But here it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel like you're unwelcome or anything like that. I just feel like she wanted me to know that she was here.
Right.
And now she's happy with the plants. At least I hope she's happy with the plants. I mean, the other house that I lived in, I would buy plants, and they kept dying. All of them. All of them kept dying. And
Yeah.
here, I haven't lost a single one. Despite the fact that my cats constantly knock them down, I haven't lost a single one.
He's helping you take care
They're
of them.
thriving. They're thriving.
That's awesome.
Make that make sense.
Yeah.
So, some hauntings aren't bad.
Yeah.
I think sometimes they just want to be acknowledged. They want you to know that they're here, that this is their place, and to respect it.
Yep.
Mm.
So I talk about her as if she's just another house guest, another member of the family.
Aw,
She's chill.
That's awesome.
People are starting to talk about Ouija boards in the comments, and I don't do that.
Yeah,
What
no,
is it?
I don't play with that.
No
You can't
Oh
play
way.
with
God,
that.
no.
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 I have never,
Those
will
are doors.
never. Heck no.
Mm-mm. Those are doors you do not want to open, because it doesn't matter how quickly you try to close them. You cannot stop what comes through.
Exactly.
I agree.
Don't play with that, y'all. Don't play with
Yeah.
that. And I remember growing up, they used to sell Ouija boards in Toys R Us.
Yes, I remember when they sell them in the store.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
insane. Like, I
Toys R
could
Us,
not
bro.
believe that they ever did that. Like, let's
That
turn a
was
bunch of
not a
kids loose
board
with an Ouija
game.
board.
Yeah.
That was not a board game. That was not Monopoly. That was not Connect Four. What the hell? Even then, at a young age, I saw that. I'm like, why is that here?
Yep.
Somebody
They
said in
do,
the comments
Rando.
they still sell them in stores.
That's
Some stores
crazy.
do. Yeah, it's insane.
No,
Lauren
I
said
don't
she
play
had
with
one as a
that,
kid.
because
Nope.
you can
There's
end up
no
with
way.
things attached to you that never leave. You can
Mhm.
completely ruin a property. If you're in a house and you're doing it, that house can be forever ruined. No, those are doors you do not want to open. Don't play with that.
They have them
They
at
have them at
Target
Target.
in 2024.
Oh
Thank
my
God
God,
we don't have
people were
Target
all
here.
worried. Make that make sense. People were going crazy over rainbow colored shirts for kids, but they ain't worried about Ouija boards at Target.
Right.
The frick are we doing?
Thank
Yeah.
God we don't have a Target here, so I don't got to worry about my kids getting one there. But
Jeez. No, my kids know what's up, and they won't play with that mess.
no, my
It
kids know
runs in
better.
my family. It runs in my family. My father's Dominican. My great grandmother was a mix between Taino and Afro Caribbean. So there's a lot of native, and there's a lot of just the Afro Caribbean influence. There's a lot of the occult that took place. And even if I don't practice it, it's still something that is very much hereditary. So that's why I said some people are receptive to things and some aren't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can inherit things that you don't know because you don't know what your ancestors used to practice or believe, and you can inherit that receptiveness.
Right.
So you
My
can
aunt-
see things that others don't see.
Oh, yeah, my aunt is very strong with that, like sensing stuff and all that stuff, and like she's tried to tell me my whole life, like you could do it too if you wanted to. There's something special about you. You're just afraid of it. I will continue to block it out for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah. If she told you that, she saw it, she recognized it, and you got it, and your kids probably do too. And especially when you're young.
My daughter does for sure, because just some of the stuff that like she says or she sees, I'm just like, block it out, block it out.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Kids will have it too. Only one of my kids inherited that
Mine
he used to see things.
went away. Like I would see them, but then as I would say, I mean, up until I was probably like 10, and then I just didn't no more. You just stopped.
No, I can still see things. Not as
Ugh.
much as before, And it depends on the where I'm at, and it depends on the situation. Like if there's discord where I'm at, if there's conflict, then you're more likely to see it. Or if you're highly stressed out, you're more likely to see it because the negative energies are attracted to negative energy.
Yep.
So if you're not surrounded by positivity, if you're not in a positive environment and you're susceptible to that type of thing, yes, you can see it.
They talk about poltergeist happening when you're stressed or in a stressful situation. You know, when the forks just come out of you drawer, you know, they go.
Yeah, nope.
Yep.
No way.
And who in here was traumatized by poltergeist when they was a kid, but you couldn't stop
Me,
watching
oh
it?
my God. Me. Lord have mercy. I couldn't watch any of those growing up, and Steph, you and I are very close in age. Growing up, the scary movies that existed then were Child's Play, Jason, what was the other one? Candyman, things like that. Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Friday the 13th.
To this day, I am 42. I have never watched any of those movies. The only one I watched was Pet Sematary, and that scared the ever living shit out of me when he brings his child back. I can't do kids. Haunted kids, demonized kids, I can't do it. I can't.
Pet Cemetery, like Gabe traumatized me when like the moment he ran out in front of the semi truck, I was traumatized.
Yes. Facts.
Oh my
Facts.
God.
Facts.
Yeah, I've seen Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger, The Nightmare on Elm Street, but I have never seen Pet Sematary.
Lord.
And am I supposed to go to sleep now in this basement tonight? I'm coming over, Scooch.
Right.
There's another one. I can't remember the name now, but it was like a Chinese movie. I don't remember if it was the babysitter that had unalived the child or I don't know, but the child came back. Oh, Crystal, Cujo is not scary. Cujo, to me, I am able to make sense of it because it's
The Grudge, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what
The
I was
Grudge.
thinking. Yes,
Oh.
The Grudge. That movie got me.
I watched The Grudge. When I watched it, I had horses. And I didn't have a stable. I didn't have none of that. My horses were trained to be stake tied. So I would tie them out at night or during the day, and then I would go get them at night to bring them in. I watched that movie before going to get the horses, and my flashlight had burnt out. So I was going by feel only. And two of the horses were tied near some bushes, and I kept seeing that damn face coming through the bushes at me. I was so afraid. I was like, the sound that it makes, the sound, that I don't know. I can't do it. Oh, terrified the ever living shit out of me. Never watch that again.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so Haley was talking about how when they moved into her house, they found stuff left behind, right? And they found a pew and body bags. When we moved in here, this house did not get cleaned out at all. Like, we had to rent a huge dumpster, and it took us 3 days. There was a little shed on the side of the house. We knocked it down now. But there was this old briefcase from, like, 1930 in there. And there was, like, an old-time photo of this woman, and she was, like, real old school. I mean, there was no color to the picture, and she's just standing there like this. That suitcase was closed. I come home one day, it's open, and the picture's setting up. I'm, like, asking my husband, like, have you ever been in there? Did you put that? And he's like, no. So then I took a picture of it and sent it to our pediatrician that lived here as a child. I was like, hey, like, is this your mom? Like, who is this? They have no idea. Her dad doesn't even have any idea who it is. I'm like,
oh.
So when I seen that about the body bags and the pew, I'm like, girl, your house might be haunted like mine.
Yeah. No.
Well, the time has come. I could literally stay here and talk all night, but I know y'all got to go to sleepers.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed tonight, and I appreciate you you all coming up on the panel. You guys, if you're in the comments, if you could throw some love, some roses, and some whatever you can throw, hearts, whatever over there, and let them know how much you appreciate their time up on the panel tonight, talking to you about their personal experiences, which is super brave, and their ghost stories, all in the same night, only on this panel. Only us.
Only,
Ghost
only
stories.
with Steph. Only with Steph.
Does that happen? Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And I'm saying that as I'm staring at this little skeleton sticker, meditating because Schmurder is wrong.
Yes. I have that one too.
That's something I say every day.
I know I always
I
have
say
like
something
tell myself,
similar,
like,
but
I
I'm
would
not going to
look good in
repeat it.
orange. I would not look good in orange.
No, the orange is not the new black over here, okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Britt. No, I mean, I say something similar.
Thank you.
I
guys
just say
so
that
much.
it's too expensive to get a pew and a cutting instrument is too messy.
Oh, I got a lot of pew-pews. I'm not worried about that. I just wouldn't look good in orange.
Yeah, no, I won't get one. I'm too hot-headed. I don't trust myself with one.
Now, me 5 years ago probably wasn't a good idea, but me now, and like where we're at in our town, where we are in the red zone on the interstate, the major interstate, for like human trafficking. And so as a mom, I feel like I need to be able to protect me and my kids if it comes to it. So that's why I put them on.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that. I'm in a third world country, hon. That's
Oh,
blacklisted.
yeah.
My brothers can't come and visit because they are armed forces, and the Army and the Coast Guard will not allow them to come visit because the country is blacklisted. So, yeah.
That's rough. I'm sorry, girl.
I get you. No, I'm fine. I actually prefer to stay here than go back to the States. I'm good.
Yeah, but
I
it's
got two
something
pit bulls.
to you is what I'm getting at. My brother lives just 10 hours from me, and I hate that. So I can imagine him not being able to even have the option to come visit me.
Yeah. No, it's nuts. They weren't able to come when my grandparents passed. Which really, really sucks. They weren't even able to get an exception, anything. And then obviously, I mean, now one of them, he just got off the so-called active list. He's not a reservist anymore. He's done. So he's thinking of coming down in February, but the other one is still very much active, so he can't at all. So he married a Honduran. My best friend here, actually. One of my best friends here, he married her, took her to the States. So she can come down and see her family, but he can't come with her.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I get
So,
it.
yeah, I
You're
know.
in a military family, so I mean, I get it, but it just still sucks.
Yeah. I mean, like my brother says, once you enlist, the government owns you.
Yep.
So that's how that is. The one that's going to come down in February, the last time I saw him, I was pregnant with my son, Ashton, and Ashton just turned 17.
Oh.
The U.S. won't let them come down, Jujubin, because Honduras is on the blacklist for military personnel. So unless they're stationed here, because there is a U.S. Army base here, they can't come down. They are simply not allowed. It would be very, very bad if they tried. Well, if the youngest tried. The other one is going to be able to now, just this year. But yeah, that's just how that is. This side of the world, I don't know if this statistic shit, I have so much trouble saying that word. I don't know if this is still true, but a couple of years ago, in the Western Hemisphere, Honduras had more unalivings per capita than Iraq and Afghanistan during wartime.
Oh man.
And this is straight out schmurder. So that's why Honduras is blacklisted. And armed forces cannot. They won't, because the U.S. doesn't negotiate, and they're worried about the risk of kidnapping. That's not really going to happen. Yeah, Jujubin, I'm in Central America and Honduras. That's not really going to happen. They're not out here trying to kidnap gringos because they know gringos are going to come after their asses. So they're not going to do that, but that's not how the Army looks at it. That's not how the U.S. government looks at it. So
Right.
it's crazy.
That's heavy. I hate that you can't see your family. That's really tough.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be rough.
I mean, we video chat all the time, so it's good. It's not that we're not in
you have
contact.
my nephews and stuff too that are 10 hours away, but it's not this, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the same as whenever, I didn't get to meet them until they were a little bit older. And when I met them for the first time, like, it was the best thing ever. So I hope that eventually you'll be able to see all of your family again.
Me too.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Juju Bean, to answer your question, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of different reasons, but having lived, I was born and raised in the US. I've been here since 98. When you talk about the land of the free, the US does not have true freedom. I'm in a third world country. It's a fucked up country, but I have more freedom than you all do living here. And I'm going to leave it at that.
That's so deep. I agree with you in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my best friend. He's in here now. Luis Rodriguez. We grew up together.
I
He
wonder
still
if
lives in the same house he was when I was a kid. Lulu, yeah, Lou has been here. He's visited the country. He knows. I mean, it's chill. He's been able to come and go and no problem. He's always been begging me to come back to the States too, but I don't want to. I don't want to. There's no school pew-pewings.
bad over here.
Yeah, trafficking is a thing in certain areas, and that is, something that you'd have to be careful with, especially with young girls. Or young women. There is a lot of GANG activity. Depending on where you live, you may or may not be in danger. If you're in a poor neighborhood,
We're
you're in
here
danger.
in the States. You're surrounded by GANG activity. You're surrounded by all of the things you just said anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the worst that can happen here is something goes down and you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and you get caught in a crossfire. It's happened in front of me so many times that I don't know how I haven't been caught in a crossfire. And it used to be a lot worse. It's gotten better. They're not as bold as they used to be, because they've become a little bit more sophisticated and more intentional in their actions and trying to avoid collateral damage. But I mean, we got pew-pewed at the end of 2020. My boyfriend got one through his leg. And I got, 6 towards me, 2 of them hit the back of my car. It was this dude was drunk. We came up behind him. He was swerving back and forth across 2 lanes of road. So we were each in our own cars because we were coming back from street racing. Yes, I'm a street racer. And we hung back to keep the rest of the traffic away from him. And I didn't want to go by him and risk him sideswiping me anyways. But he thought we were following him. And I didn't realize that there was a woman in the car with him. So he pulled over. The passenger door opens and the woman falls out headfirst onto the concrete. So I stopped because I thought they were having some sort of fight. And he hadn't even finished stopping when she's opening the door and falling out. So I'm thinking she's taking advantage of this and she's trying to get away. And as a DV victim, I'm always going to be a DV advocate and I won't even stop to think what I'm doing. So I stop. My boyfriend stops in front of me. But because we had been racing, I didn't have my exhaust on my car. I couldn't hear over my car's engine. And I wasn't about to turn it off. He opens his side of the door of the car and he spins around to look at me and he starts yelling something and I can't hear what he's saying. But I got a bad feeling. So I told my boyfriend, I'm like, let's just go. So I get up ahead of him and I'm like, we're messaging on what's up as we're driving. So I tell him, I'm going to do a U-turn here and let's go, take a different route home because he was coming on the same road we were. So I wanted to deviate from that route and go take a different route home. So when we do the U-turn and we're coming back, even with him, I didn't realize that this dude is standing outside of his car. My boyfriend is on my left, I'm on the right. He's on the other side of my boyfriend on the other side of the road, and he starts firing. He hits my boyfriend. I'm looking at him, I hear him scream, and I see him like jerk to the side. So I thought he had been hit in the ribs. So I slam on the brakes, I slam reverse to go backwards because I want him to focus on me, which of course he did. And I don't know how he didn't hit me. I don't know how he didn't hit me because I'm seeing the muzzle flashes. I'm hearing the bullets whiz above me and whack into the storefront of where I'm at. But I didn't hear the two that hit my car. And obviously I wasn't hit. And I backed up until I hit a curb and climbed the whole back end of my car, climbed up on the curb. I slammed first gear, peeled out of there. My boyfriend was up ahead and he was about to do a U-turn and go back because he's like, he already fired everything he had. He was going to turn around and run him down. I'm like, no, the fuck you're not. Let's go. So I'm like, turn here. We're leaving. Let's go. And when we finally stop and he gets out, that's when I see that it's his leg. He was shot through the calf. And because it went through the door, it ricocheted off of his speaker and the mechanism that raises the window. So it deviated a little bit and it slowed down a little bit, went into the left side of his left calf, started to come out the right side, but the slug was right under the skin on the right side of his calf. So he couldn't drive anymore because we both drive stick shift. Called a couple of friends that had been with us at the races. They came and got his car. I had to take him to the hospital. There were cameras there where we were at. There was everything. Cops didn't do shit. I go to the police station, speak to the DA, and I'm like, this is at the very least, like, I didn't cut it out, rando. I took him to the hospital. They cut it out. He's a pussy anyways. If I would have tried, he would have fainted. Sorry. He's a wuss. I was speaking to the DA and she's like, well, the most that we're going to do is he'll pay for damages on the vehicle and damages, to him. He'll pay medical bills. And I'm like, that's not attempted murder. And she's like, no. And I'm like, well, fuck this country. Like, what the hell? So, yeah, that wasn't.
Even in America, someone can get pew-pewed in the back twice as they're walking away, and the person that did it can still get off on self-defense. So.
Yeah. So I didn't want to keep pursuing it because of how hesitant cops were. And here, it's very easy to pay cops off. So my sense was something's wrong. This dude's connected. And if we pursue this, they're going to come after us.
Yeah.
So we left that alone. And then turns out the dude lived like 5 minutes away from me because my boyfriend ran into him again a few weeks later.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Now he disappeared. We have his license plate. We have his name. We knew where he lived, everything. He completely disappeared. He left the city. So I'd rather he think that we're chasing him than us to be worried about maybe he's, trying to find us.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like that do happen. But it was very random. It was had nothing to do with anything. Just some drunk high dude on I don't know, freaky paranoid shit.
It's untalent, yeah. Well, I'm gonna let y'all go. Know that I'm gonna be live Monday morning. Nothing's happening. Nothing's on the calendar. Yeah, good. We're clear. Everything's gonna be good. We're gonna be here at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Monday morning. We're gonna talk about whatever's happening in the world at that whatever or ghost or just whatever you want to talk about. It's fine. You just come on up to the panel. We'll talk about it. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really, really appreciate you. You guys know that you're making my dreams. I will check my messages. Y'all know you're making it happen right before my eyes. I hope you guys have a safe and blessed weekend. Know that you can find me on any social media platform. All you have to do is look for the same username and logo. I am on YouTube, most importantly. January 19th comes quickly. And all the other social media platforms on earth, I'm probably there. So wherever you are, there I am too. Thank you guys. I love you so much. Thank you, Riss Ross. Thank you,
Bye.
Joyfully. I'll see you
Thank you, Stephs, for
Monday.
having us on.
Bye.
Bye.